I recently upgraded my bike to a 1x, and I don't have a clutch derailleur, so I suffer from a lot of drop chains. Now, my front narrow wide crankset does an admirable job of holding my chain on, but I still get a lot of drop chains. So today I have bought this, the Decas chain guide. I picked it up for about €10 from Amazon, and I will leave the link in the description below. So there are three main types of chain guide. There is ISCG03, ISCG05, and a bottom bracket mounted chain guide. So my bike is an older one, and it requires an ISCG03. Chances are, if you have a newer bike, you will require an ISCG05 or bottom bracket mount type. I believe the bottom bracket mount type is also referred to as direct mount, but we won't get into that for the moment. Now, this chain mount comes fairly bare bones. You'll get the chain mount, you get two bolts, and you get a whole mess of washers for spacing it out from your frame to get it positioned correctly over the crankset. To mount an ISCG03 or 05 chain guide, you will first need to remove your crankset. Now, with mine, it's a simple enough task. On the right hand side crank, you are going to loosen up the two Allen bolts that are in position. And then you are going to remove that weird plastic screw thing that goes in the center as a retaining screw. If anyone knows what that's called, or if anyone is aware of a tool to remove that properly, please leave a comment down in the comment section. Once you have that removed, you can pull out the crank on the other side of the bike. Also, forgive me, my bike is filthy. I did not wash it after the last time I went out riding. So, you can see here that you have the two mounting bolt holes. This chain guide is rated for a 30 to 40 tooth chain ring. Mine is a 32 tooth. More expensive versions of this from, real brands will come with a guide on the back that will show you where to position it for each size of chainring. This, however, does not, so you gotta eyeball it. Now, once you get it on the bike while the bolts are still loose, there is further adjustment, and this just helps in wiggling it into place if you need to. For me, I found having it positioned at the highest point was the best for my bike. Once you're happy with the position, pinch the bolts into place and do a test fit of the chainring. Again, this doesn't have a guide for the sizes, so it's best to just pop the chainring back into position and see what the fit is like. Now, I pulled the chain over my chainring and kind of gave it a little test run that way. And what I found was, with even 3 spacers on the chain mount, it still wasn't quite coming out far enough, and the chain was rubbing on the chain guide. So at this point, I didn't feel like I could put any more spacers on those bolts. So what I opted to do was to remove the plastic guide at the top and actually fit a spacer behind it. This pulled out the guide just enough that it gave me a nice gap on either side when I was in the largest and smallest cog on the back. So once your chain guide is installed, you can go ahead and reinstall your crankset. And it's a good idea to probably re-grease your bottom bracket at this point and give it a clean out if it's as grimy as mine is. So reinstalling the crankset is just the reverse of taking it off, and once you have it on, it's not a bad idea to give your bike a pedal while it's up on the bike stand and make sure that when it switches through all of the gears that it's not rubbing on the chain guide. So to test it out, I brought it down a pretty rough and ready trail, and I will say that I didn't get any drop chains on this trail. This trail has nice drops on it, a couple of little lips to boost off of, and it's fairly narrow kind of gully trail, so it was a good one to see if I get a drop chain. Now what I did find was, later on in the day when I least expected it, I did actually get a drop chain. But it didn't fully drop off. The chain guide held on the top section of the chain, and with a single pedal it actually puts the chain back on. So I can't say that this chain guide has totally fixed my drop chains, but in the absence of a clutch derailleur, it has certainly made the issue much better and much more livable with. So if you're like me and suffering from drop chains, try a chain guide. Maybe even try the one that I linked below. They come in ISCG 05 and 03. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. I post a new video every week, and yeah, I'll see you next time.